everyone. This is Karen from Online Healing Community. Welcome to Creating Space. And with us today is traditional hilot. He's certified in that and master of in Reiki, John Ray Nagas. Hi, John Ray. Welcome to Creating Space.
Hi, thank you so much, Karen, and good evening to everyone. Thank you for making me available here.
Yeah, thank you for being here, Genre. Like I told you, this is our first professional FB live. It's not usually like
Right.
this. Yeah.
All
So,
right.
oh
Great.
yeah,
And,
because you're in, so we
uh,
made it really really nice. Thank you. Um,
Thank you,
and you
good.
know what? It's it's good that we just celebrated the International Indigenous Peoples Day. So what we're going to talk about today is very very relevant. So for everyone who just tuned in, yeah, right now, this afternoon, we're going to talk about a modern babaylan story. For people who don't know what a babaylan is, though, Johnny, can you
Mhm.
please enlighten them?
Right. So, babaylan, technically, they are known as local traditional healers here in the Philippines. Yeah. And generally, each healer is, in each tribe, there's always a healer, or there are even different names to it. So, babaylan is like the general term in the Philippine context. Well, close to it, some Westerns will call them as shamans, but we don't want to, coin that term to give respect also to the different names of local healers in different tribes. But in general, we'll call ourselves as babaylan, as long as you are
Babaylan.
practicing local traditional healing modality or
Yeah,
somewhere in
I'm
between. Uh,
I'm actually surprised that there's a babaylan here in the city because usually you see them up in the mountains in indigenous community. How
exactly.
did you start this? Yeah, how did you get into this path?
Actually, it's funny, but people just started to, call me, "Uy, baka babaylan ka na," or something. Kasi even myself, I won't even call myself that, or even worthy of that title. Pero sige na lang, para I just claim, own it, or accept that certain identity. So, in this path, because I was always been fascinated with, spirituality. And in this path, I can say that my spiritual path has been so complex. Oh, okay, the lovebirds are flying all over. And
Okay.
I can say that it started when I entered the seminary. So I was 16 years old, so fresh grad from high school. And then, well, to cut the story short a little bit, I spent my seminary life or religious formation for 8 years. And so I graduated in philosophy, and then I also studied, and I'm still continuing my studies in theology. And even in those moments or in those period, I there were some ministries, or I can say activities that we will have ourselves exposure or immersed in indigenous communities. And my first encounter with an indigenous community was way back 2007, and it's in Mindanao. All
Mhm.
right. And the indigenous community there, they're known as Lumad. Okay. And I stayed with them for 1 month. And it's very interesting because um, for us who are aspiring to become priests, we must get to know the lives of the people. And it's a different
Mhm.
kind of formation now, because it's not us who's going to bring the divine presence, but it's more of them, uh, what we can learn something from them. And the interesting part here is that uh, each of my colleagues have foster families, and we had to draw lots on whose family you're going to go into. Some were leaders in the leaders in the group, and then in my case, when I picked the name, it was babaylan. So that was also my first
Really?
encounter with the babaylan, and I was very intrigued. No, anong kaya ginagawa ng local healer. So they just told me that, oh, okay, this babaylan is a local healer, kind of like a priest, a native priest in their ethnic group. And then, so I stayed with him all throughout 1 month, and I just have to do exactly what he's going to do. So farming, harvesting, going around the forest. So good. So it's pretty much interesting. And then from there, um, I can say that I was pretty much interested with anything that has something to do with Filipino traditional rituals. So ganyan.
Mhm.
So I got myself into it, and I read, and then later on, uh, I was having a moment of crisis in terms of, what should I do in my life, because I see that the religious formation, or my formation rather, towards the priesthood was no longer relevant for me. Um, there were things that I wanted to do, just wanted to do that will make me more grounded, be more available, and more of service, especially to the Philippine society. And because of that, so I intended to, to leave, like to leave totally the religious formation, as a brother. Okay, so that time it was 2013. Yeah, it
Mhm.
was 2013 that I finally made a decision, and then yeah, and there, so I left, and in that point in time, I was also teaching. Okay, so my regular job until now, from that time, was teaching. Okay, I'm a
Mhm.
language and spirituality teacher to to to
Yeah.
foreign religious missionaries. Yes,
Oh,
and yeah, so I teach them English. But on the other hand, what's very interesting here is that I teach, or I integrate language and theology and spirituality together.
you've
Yes.
never left that circle, no? Even
No,
when you left
yeah,
the religious order, you're still back with the religious
yeah.
community.
Yeah, still back in the religious community, and even until now, because life is really a journey, and just looking back at my own in my own life, everything is like everything starts to weave all together. There's a I can say that there's a beautiful or pattern, so to
Yeah,
speak,
yeah.
and yeah, and I tend to integrate those things. And when it comes to discovering healing, doing healing, especially to others, it came to a point wherein I wanted to have, like a retreat or a self retreat. So that was in 2016. It was January, technically,
Mhm.
because it's a new year, new start. So I was just browsing at the internet. Perhaps there's a available retreat center, or there's a program where I can join. And then I came across a website, okay, which is
Mhm.
the name is White Space, and that's along Katipunan.
Mhm.
And they have this sort of, actually it's not even a retreat, they have a program. And what's
Mhm.
interesting in the program, because it says, okay, it's a healing modality, and then it's presented as Reiki. And
Mhm.
because of that, I said, oh no, what's ano kaya in Reiki? So I even researched it by myself. And
Mhm.
then it's a uh, you know healing using by the hands, yeah, and it's more of the use of the divine energy. So because of that, I was interested to learn about it. So I attended that session, and there's like 3 levels. So I started my journey on Reiki, okay, and I took the level 1. When
Mhm.
after taking the level 1, I said, "Oh, okay. So if Reiki, because Reiki means, Rei means divine, and Ki is energy. So it's a Japanese healing modality.
Mhm.
And just after graduating level 1, I said to myself, or I even reflected, perhaps there's something also in our country that we have our own healing modality, and I discovered that was hilot. So
Mm.
so the following year, I started again, going online, perhaps finding a seminar or a workshop on hilot, and I encountered this person who eventually became my mentor on hilot. He's also in a way, babaylan dito here
Yeah.
in Manila. His name is Ronaldo Common,
Mhm.
and so I allowed myself to be his student, and so he taught me the traditional ways of hilot. And when I
Oh,
want to stress the word traditional because right now there are a lot of misconception with the word hilot. People will say, hilot, so ano yun, massage or anything, it's just about pressure points, acupressure. In the beginning, I had that mentality, because
mm,
I had that mentality. But in my journey now with hilot, yes, I discovered that it's a ritual in itself. I mean,
mm,
if you go to the mismong Mount Banahaw, which is the seat of mga manghihilot.
yes,
Actually,
yes.
it's very interesting kasi there is a moment there that there's a little bit of massage, but pero hindi masyadong diin. Well,
Mm, mm,
it depends on the diagnosis that they're going to find out. But they begin first with a chant or with a prayer, and then they will do the scanning, and then from there, if there are any blockages, the cold or the heat, what they say as the init and lamig, that's the point that they're going to focus on. By the way, they do not massage or do the entire body manipulation. They're only going to
right,
focus what they have diagnosed. So if your shoulders is the only one in pain, so they're just going to focus on the shoulders.
the
Okay.
shoulders, yeah.
Yes, or your leg or so on. And then
Mm,
after that, after they do that body manipulation, they're going to close it with a prayer or oracion, as known as oracion. So technically,
mm,
it's a ritual because you have you're a medium. At the same time, you're connecting to the divine,
and,
yeah, or to your spirit guides. So in a way, you're not alone, but you have your guides with you in doing the healing modality. So in a way, it same goes with Reiki. Kasi, okay, Reiki is Japanese. Baka perhaps there's something we have in the Philippines, and so it's hilot.
right. It's actually good that aside from trying out for yourself, you're actually writing your thesis on it. You're
Right. Yeah.
actually merging. Um,
Actually, yes, because eventually from hilot, which is the local healing modality here in the Philippines. And again, since I'm very much interested with learning indigenous healing arts,
right.
uh, there was a there was a Reiki retreat that happened sometime 2016 of December, and I was planning to go to Banawe for a tour, for a trip to relax. December, so it's cold. And then in that Reiki retreat, a friend of mine introduced me yeah, her friend who is from there, from who is an Ifugao, who's from Banahaw.
Mm.
I'm sorry, Banawe. Sorry, but
Banawe.
from
Yeah.
Banawe, yeah, from Banawe, Ifugao. So he's an Ifugao.
Mm-hmm.
And he introduced himself as a Mumbaki, which at that time I was questioning what's a Mumbaki, and then he said, "Oh, it's a local healer in that place."
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a babaylan, ganun. So all right, and then he told me that's why we've met. So it's like there's
Mm-mm.
all there's
Synchronicity.
synchronicity exactly.
Yeah.
That's why we've met because you're gonna stay in my place. So he said that to me. So go, okay, sige. Ako naman, all right, medyo, it's kind of weird in a positive way because,
Yeah.
I'm meeting another healer, but aside of, a free accommodation. Pero
Oh,
I get
wow.
a
So,
chance to meet him. So eventually he also became my mentor until at this time in my
so are
course
you
of
talking about, is this Mumbaki Mamerto?
the
The one
Mumbaki
you met
model. Right.
in the healing
Exactly.
conference? Yeah.
Yes.
How long have you been being mentored by Mumbaki
But
Mamerto?
Yes, with him since 2017.
So
Since
he
2017.
invited, wow, that's a long time,
Yeah,
3 years. So he's the one who invited you to come
to
over.
come over, right? Because during that time I had a schedule to go to Banawe even. And then
Right.
when I told him that, he said, "Oh, that's why we met because you're going to Banawe, so you're going to stay at my place." He told me. So, oh, all right. So I was surprised and at the same time very, startled and amazed.
Yeah. But you know, healers, they say, have a sixth sense. Did he tell you at some point that he felt that you were his student or that he's supposed to mentor you?
Well, yeah, well, that's true. Well, in the beginning, he sensed that I have, let's say, a good energy. Ako naman parang, okay, sige po.
Mhm.
Pa-humble, but, not trying to make myself get in the way of their comments. Pero, sige. And then he said, actually, I'm the one who opened up. So, because in other traditions, like Native Americans, they're free to initiate even people outside their tribe as long as you're staying with them or even living with them. And
Right.
so with him, it began with this question. So as a Mumbaki, uh, in order for a person to become a Mumbaki, does he or she need to be, let's say, an Ifugao, or by
Yes.
blood? Is it by lineage?
Mhm.
And for him, for Manong Mamerto,
Mhm.
as he is known, he's quite progressive. So medyo na-open na siya because he's been in the States for 20 years. He
Mhm.
finished his master's there, and then he was also initiated in some Native American rituals. So I guess medyo he was also opened. So when he
Right.
came back here in the Philippines to um, accept the responsibility as a local healer or a Mombaki, he wanted, in a way, for the tradition to be a little bit more flexible.
Mhm.
In his standpoint, he said, "Well, if you're interested, and I see that, on my end, wanted to something learn and in service of the community, only not only by yourself, how to take care of nature. You're very sensitive to the surroundings and to the society. I mean, why not?"
Right.
And then, okay. And then from that time, sabi ko, all right, sige. Is it okay if you'll be one of my mentors in
Oh,
this
how,
path, in this,
oh, that's
healing path? Oh,
interesting. How your paths cross. So, how does it look like? How does a Mumbaki training? You're like a Mumbaki in training, right? So,
uh,
what does your training look
parang
like?
I can say indirectly because I told it because there's no formality, there's no institution or like any school, right?
Right.
So it's basically he's the one trying to start and open to everyone who wants to learn the practice. And he said that, well, first thing is you get acquainted with him, and
Mhm.
then from time to time you have to do what we have to do. So we have to plant, you have to harvest, from time to time you have to visit Banawe. So ganyan, it's very the rituals, because the rituals that they have is very agricultural. There's always a reason, and there's so much meaning to it in doing the rituals. So it's not only spiritual, but it's also practical why they have to
So,
do it.
so even if you're training for being a healer, for being a babaylan in our term Tagalog
Uh-huh.
in our vernacular, you also have to do their routine.
Yes, the routine. So, for instance, if I'm on vacation from my work, if I'm like a week, so I'll spend like
Right.
3 to 4 days there, and then he'll tell me, "Oh, okay,
Mhm.
so there's a day where you can plant." So,
Mhm.
all right, you can plant rice. So we'll go to the rice field, and for that reason, in order for me to be oriented in their way of life, and also for the spirits around to be familiar with me. So ganun. So it's more of
Wait.
establishing your ground, yeah,
Oh,
and your familiarity to the place.
the spirits have to be familiar with you.
Yes, as well.
How is
They
that?
do because so you have to do something in the community. So something that will help them. And
Right.
as I've mentioned, because part of the process being initiated, there is a ritual. And before that, before doing the ritual, you must do something that is anything from domestic chores to agricultural.
That's
So
interesting. I'm thinking of the Karate Kid training now that you're telling me this. So, because I have this misconception that if you're going to train as a healer, then you'll just be trained as a healer. But this one, what you're telling me, it's very holistic.
it's very
You're
holistic, and
initiated in their community,
yeah,
right, and in
and
their culture.
that's true. And he will say that well, you don't get this in books. You get this as a lifestyle, in experience, and it will really stick to you if it's more you are immersed in the environment, which is true because going back again in my training as to become a religious priest or brother in order to get to
Yeah.
know them or be acquainted with them wholeheartedly, you have to learn the language, be in the space for them to be close to you. So the same thing goes with that kind of training.
Right. You have to be immersed. But why is it like that? Why do you have to be in touch with the community, in touch with nature, in touch with the spirits?
Yes, it's a way that first is to really see your intention, that your intention is not egoistic, if I may say. Well, because human as we are, even in the circle of healing community, people will we will learn stuff out of which one is powerful and so on. So I mean, what's the purpose for that? Pero for this one, in this case, it's more if you're gonna do something first, let's see if you can uh, lessen, lessen your ego. I believe, we cannot let go of the ego. A certain percent will be there. So lessen it, and then how will the experience, how will the environment give you wisdom? Because uh, being local healers, even the elders, if you have any experience, they have so much wisdom, and their wisdom is very simple, but it's deep or profound, if I may say.
Right.
It's not much that you can discover in the books or you learn in a organized institution. But if you look at their way of life, just to be with them a w- at least in a week, there's so much learnings, even the smallest element. There's a bit of transformation that will happen in your being. So I guess that's the thing that he wanted me to learn and to have my own wisdom, even so that I can
What
even
are the
share.
most important? Yeah, what are the most important learnings from this? If I initially was thinking it's just from Mumbaki Mamerto, but now that I'm talking to you, what I'm
Mhm.
learning is you're learning from the whole community, not just from the
Right.
Mumbaki.
Yes, yes. Because I think it's how you see yourself also in others and the importance of connection. And I want to stress also, of course, the Filipino philosophy ng pakikipagkapwa. I think
Yeah.
that's very significant, especially nowadays during this time of pandemic and the crisis of what's going on in our country. I think there should be a very much um, reliving, yeah, or refining of the concept of pakikipagkapwa, and it's very very significant, especially if you are into this path of healing, because not all the time you're going to use this modality for yourself, but you're going to use the healing modality for others. No,
Right.
to others.
One of the moderators of the online healing community, this is Ali saying, sa katutubong pamamaraan ng edukasyon, hindi formal yung pamamaraan ng pagturo na parang sa classroom. Parang shadowing siya. Kumbaga, susundan mo, mentor mo sa lahat ng ginagawa niya. Immersion, living in the community. So you're saying that this is like apprenticeship, right?
Exactly. So ganun. So whoever commented that, tumpak. So ganun siya. Kind
Yes,
of a
you're
shadow.
correct, Ali. Yes. Oh, Wheat Holganza is asking, how do nature spirits communicate with you? How do you receive guidance from them to aid in your healing and of others?
Yeah, so this is pretty much of a challenge because, like, well, personally, especially with my training from traditional religious background in Catholicism, and then my training towards priesthood before, so much of the left brain into the books and stuff,
Yeah.
and then now getting much of the Asian philosophy, particularly here in the Philippines. Gusto ko i-stress or emphasize the philosophy of pakikiramdam, and I think I can bridge that to intuition, no? Or the intuitive,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know. And it's not just gut feeling. There's a deeper sense into that, I can say. And the
Mhm.
only way to get in touch with the nature spirit is when you're in silent, when you are meditating, yeah, and whatever message or immediate you can some will say download or immediate gut feeling that you have, yeah,
Mhm.
towards the other person or towards yourself on what you should be doing to heal. I think that's the way. Mhm.
Mm.
So it
So
really
it's
takes a
not,
practice
yeah.
to even discipline yourself intuitively. Kasi even in my experience, there are moments that I will doubt, ay, totoo kaya to? Or yung mga ganyan. And
Mm.
then on the other hand, on the other hand, parang may magsasabi, just trust it. Yung ganon.
Mm. But I agree with you that we're taught more of left brain versus right brain. That's always about rationalizing, memorizing, processing information,
that
and we don't develop the right brain.
That's true because I mean basically our institution, our education, right? It's highly influenced by the West, and it really does so much in our consciousness or in our subconscious of how we see things or perceive things, or even appreciate things in appreciating local culture. Others will even draw into conclusion, superstition and so on. Pero,
Mm.
if they didn't really study it or get into it, then they've lost the sense or the
Yes.
beauty. Oh.
Ai has a question. Have you ever received or heard any message from the Diwatas or ancestors directly or through other babaylans, Mumbaki, regarding what we need to learn as a humanity from the global pandemic we're collectively experiencing? Very
Well,
interesting, Ai. Thank you for that
interesting.
question.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ayi. And of course, very practical and relevant. Well, with regards to that, it's all at this time it's stressing or emphasizing on feeling the others, right? On what you can do, if there are any means, okay, that you can do wholeheartedly for the community or those who are being affected by this pandemic, this whoever, a victim or not, then be try to be available. So like
Mm.
that, yeah, available at the same time. Of course, as healers, we tend to get tired as well. So there should also be a space, a day or even a moment within a day that you have time for yourself. What I mean by that is, to stay in silence and then just to breathe, take a breather because, all of us, are just tools.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So,
And, and I see your FB lives. You're actually doing that. Like when you say pakikipagkapwa and helping out others, you're actually reaching out to others. So I see you've been teaching rituals during this quarantine. What inspired you to do that?
yes, well, because technically, well, I was also inspired by others who were, well, first in YouTube, because I was following also a kind of meditation, and then it came to my mind, or I was inspired. Even my guides will tell me, what you do. Why don't you do something for the community? There's no need of a fee. Try to you know to give it, And because of that, I started doing this live. Actually, I just did two. I think another one will come up this month.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to focus on, instead of calling it meditation or mindfulness, I used the word ritual.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I like how ritual allows you not only to connect to your divine self, but to your ancestors, because there are also your community in the other side.
Yeah.
So in a
Yeah.
way, yeah, you will ask for their guidance and all, and it's a very yeah, it really takes a healing effect on your end and
Mhm.
also to the people around.
How can rituals help? Because like you said, it's different from the usual meditation and the usual mindfulness sessions. In fact, one of the participants I've said that he's been meditating and facilitating rituals too. But he
Mm-hmm.
said the experience with Surjan, with you, even the rain, the birds, and all the creatures of Mother Nature blend in with us in harmony during our meditation.
But I was surprised when I read that comment, because well, I think as any healer or healing practitioner, have their own personality or type. In my case, I'm more of a nature person. I love nature and all that. So when I do rituals or when I open a space, I just make sure that the place is outside or there are a lot of trees,
Mhm.
because I feel more grounded. So it gives me more focus whenever there are a lot of trees or whenever I'm surrounded with nature, the mountains. So ganyan.
So what I'm seeing is with traditional healing, it's
Hmm.
very like you said, it's very grounded. You're in communion with the spirits, you're in communion with nature, and you're even in communion with the community, you know.
Yes, exactly. And of course, there are other people. There are other people, even my friends, who knew me as a seminarian, yeah, as a religious brother
Mm.
before, and
Yeah.
they even asked me, "Oh, isn't that going against your belief or whatnot?" And I just said, "No, totally not." Firmly, I said totally not, because again, in my current stage right now, I'm finishing my master's in theology, and there's just
Mhm.
so much discovery which other people, especially in who are oriented in traditional Catholic teachings, is that there's so much shift that had been going on since Vatican II, and it's a call of how we should respect, yes, other beliefs, other culture, because they're, in any culture, in any religion, be it the major or even minor groups, ethnic groups, there's a spark of the divine. Yeah, there is a spark of the divine. And so that's my take on. That's my breakthrough. That's how I tell the others. And the fact that you're connecting to the spirits, I mean, in Catholic tradition, to be more specific, I mean, we connect to the saints. So that's like my analogy. We connect to our loved ones. We connect to our ancestors, who've been with us even maybe until this time. Maybe they've been praying for us in the other world and so on. So yeah, so yes, that's why I even said it's a community, that you're not alone. Uh-huh. And I think that that God in Himself is love, because He gives us a community.
Right. And I love that. A lot of people didn't know that. I also heard Father Loreto said that Vatican II, the church has opened up. So they're more accepting of all beliefs. But a lot of people are
Exactly.
still hierarchical. And
That
even a lot of Catholics are hierarchical.
well, that's true. I do agree, but well, Vatican II is just about 60 years pa lang, so it's still a baby, and I'm sure it's gonna take time. I don't know if it will be in our time to different traditions, or will not even frown upon to local traditions or rituals. But if you're gonna see it with with openness and with not much prejudice, there's so much things to learn about it. Mhm.
Right. And I love it that you're helping revive this ritual because for a time we've veered away from all these rituals. And in fact, now it's kind of hard. In the city, it's hard to find a hilot. Usually,
And
before I grew up in the province, it's easy to find hilots. But now, even the province, it's hard to find traditional hilot.
yeah,
Why do you
it's
think
really
that?
hard because, of course, with the lack of support, and I guess the others were being discouraged kasi alam mo yun, anong, how are you going to earn for a living by just doing hilot or being a manghihilot? So I guess support is very much needed in for traditional healers, especially in our country. I mean, if again, this is like my reflection. If other traditions are being recognized, like yoga, I mean that's from India,
Mhm.
Qigong or Tai Chi in China. So how about in the Philippines? I guess there's something that we should, advocate on and yeah, promote and even cherish so that it will not die.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reason why in my thesis for my master's in theology, I'm focusing on a particular Ifugao ritual that was done to me because there are many rituals in the Ifugao. There are like 20 or 21. All of them are connected to agriculture and blessing. So I just focused on one ritual that was done to me, and how am I going to connect this particular ritual? How am I going to link it to the scripture or theologize it? So there will be a kind of like emergence.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Can you tell us about that ritual? How was it?
Yes, this ritual is called tinungol, okay,
Mm-hmm.
tinungol ritual, and it's a ritual of general abundance, which means it's a ritual also good for blessing, for a safe trip, okay, for healing whenever you are feeling dis-ease, okay, so like that, or an intention for someone. So that can be done not only if you are at Banawe, but even if you are in the city
You're in the
or
city.
elsewhere, as long as there's a permission from the Mumbaki or the ritualist.
Right. Orina Corpus is asking, how long does the training to be a babaylan take?
Well, Rina, even me, I have no idea because when I started kind of 2017, and whenever I visit Manong Mamerto up in Banawe, um, he would just tell me things and follow him. There was no specific ending to it. Although there were some things that I asked. Oh, is there like a grand initiation or something like that? uh, he will tell me, "Well, you're already a healer by yourself. You're already a healer. But you're already practicing healer." So, in his opinion, I don't think there's a need for a
Yeah.
grand some sort of ordination. But the fact that I think it's ongoing as long as he's alive.
Right.
Yeah,
But how
because
does yeah, but I remember the ritual, the abundance ritual, which was done to you. How did it
Mhm.
feel like? What does it look like?
Right.
How is
Because since it will be the first ritual done to me, who is outside
right.
Banawe, who is not an Ifugao.
Mm-hmm.
So the interesting part here is Madang Mamerto had to know my ancestors as far as I am remembered, the lineage of my ancestors. So I have to give him the list because as they begin their chant, they're going to invoke my ancestors and their ancestors and the spirits around. And let's see if they're going to agree. So it's a kind of like an adoption.
Oh,
So in short, it was like an adoption. And when they were doing that in the process, I did not, understand what they were saying, their chants, although I recorded it myself.
right.
Um, it was strangely fascinating. I got a bit teary-eyed, and then
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what was going on within myself.
Mm-hmm.
um, it just came to me, so I guess intuitively, that I just had this hunch na, okay, it's agreed. So as we know that in all rituals from north to south, there's animal sacrifice, a chicken or a pig.
Mhm,
In
mhm,
my case, it
mhm.
was a chicken because it's just one person. And to check the vial, whether the spirits agreed. And so that was like a confirmation of what I, received
Right.
or felt intuitively. So when they checked the vial of the chicken after it was sacrificed, it was a good omen, as they say. And then,
Oh,
well, Manong Mamerto he was not the only one performing the ritual. There were two of them, two elders. The other
okay.
one just recently passed away last year,
Mhm.
and they were all shaking hands or congratulating me. Oh, welcome! So it was like an adoption.
Very it's nice that the tribe actually welcomed you and adopted you.
Yeah,
Are you the
yeah.
first one that they adopted as a babaylan, or were there others who weren't
Actually, there
really
were
Ifugao but
others. Well, there were others. Well, because it started as acquaintance with Manong Mamerto, and then doing some research or studies. But these are not just just doing research for the heck of research. But if
right?
it's also a calling to you, then they will really feel that you're really into it, and they're gonna adopt you as well. So not only in my case, I think Grace Nono, yeah, Grace Nono,
They
she's also
adopted
close adopted
her
as well,
also.
a close
Oh
friend of Manong Mamerto.
wow! Mexico.
Enchantress, she's an enchantress, so she
Oh
sings. So that's
wow!
her, specialty naman niya.
Yeah, yeah. But you're
Right.
also connected with a Manunuyam, a dream weaver and local healer from North Mindanao. And she wove a
Right.
vest for you with messages
Yeah,
also from your ancestors. Can you share with
exactly.
us the message? Can
Right.
I share with
So,
them the vest
sure.
also?
Okay, sure, sure, no problem.
So I'll share my screen with everyone so they can
Sige.
see the vest
Uh,
there. Ayan, that's the vest.
Yay, yeah. My face has to go with the the design.
Yes, it's a lot better that way.
11 years. Well, yes, it's interesting because well, I'll call her Ate Robbie. She's
Mhm,
a Manunuyam, well, also known as Dreamweaver of the
mhm,
north of Mindanao. Yeah,
mhm,
I was able to got in touch with her with one of healing groups here in Manila, in Quezon City, and she was giving a talk of her social situation. At the same time, her being a healer or a dream weaver.
right.
So there are only a few of them left right now,
Mhm,
and from then on, uh, I still get in touch with her through social media, messenger, and then I met her personally last year. I mean, I get in
mhm.
touch with her because I got so also interested of how it works, how
Yeah.
Dreamweavers work,
So
and
how
I
does
also
it work?
right, yeah. So it works through. They have to if you want to have a vest or any shirt being
Yeah.
customized, well, you have to meet in person, perhaps right now through online, and she'll try to feel your energy, get to know you a bit. So she has some questions. And then after that, she has to do a ritual. And the ritual will comprise of her invoking her ancestors and also your ancestors. And then after that, it will take time. She has to dream, for my ancestors to give her message.
How long
And
did it take for her to finish this vest?
well, it took almost a year and 2 months. For this one, it's a year and 2 months.
Oh, that's kind of
Uh,
long.
It's kind of well, relatively. I think it could be in a month or 2 months. It's just that she had other errands to do, so it took
Right.
her a year. And
This all, yeah. Do
yeah,
these things all have meaning? All the symbols here?
exactly, Papa. Yeah, exactly. It's the designs are very intricate, very
Yeah, because of that.
customized because it's um, it's your lineage of both of the side of your parents, your mother side and your father's side. And
Mhm.
focusing on the front. So even the front part of the vest, there are meanings to it, and just to be just to talk in general, it will focus more on your path, where you are at the moment,
Mm.
and the message of your ancestors. Like, are they happy? Are there things that need to be fixed or aligned in your
Yeah.
life? So when I received the vest without her interpretation yet,
Mm.
again, it's like I got teary eyed. It's like it really belongs to me. So that was the feeling,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I could not explain. I just I just felt that it's mine, and the message is very deep, and
Mhm.
there's a long way that I know that I can go in this path, and technically I will flourish. So anyway, when she video called me, and that's the time that she interpreted each of the designs.
Mhm.
And what she told me is that it's good that my ancestors are very much happy because right now I'm getting back to my roots. And well, at the same time, it's also how you value yourself now as a person, that you're trying to integrate the indigenous beliefs and, of course, your current belief as a Christian. So
Yeah.
there is no reason, like in totality, there's no reason of, okay, baliwala ko ng isa, dito na ako sa isa. I'm just gonna focus on
Yeah.
this. The other one
Yeah.
has just given too much pain historically
Yeah.
and so much. But it's not that. It's more of uh, how the divine was able to connect things and to build you as a person, and to really get the entire message of Christianity and the indigenous culture, that everything is about being connected, healing oneself and others, and then just be your authentic self,
Oh,
being
that's
true to yourself.
beautiful.
And even in my journey, actually, right now, people ask me, "Oh, do you have any regrets that you left the seminary?" I said, "Oh, actually,
Mm.
no, because I think it's part of my journey as as a healer, that oriented by different spiritualities, brought me to this point, being so open, progressive, flexible, and even respectful to others. So
Totoo, totoo. I even with you when you were telling me that you started your journey just in 2007, but when you're talking about you entered the religious order in high school, I felt that your
right after
journey
high school,
started.
yeah.
Yeah. So even before then, I just felt that that's part of your, and you're saying it now, that that's part of your spiritual journey and your healing journey.
Healing journey, yes, and spiritual journey, because even when I was in the seminary, when I was in religious formation, I would have dreams, sort of weird dreams, and there was one particular, actually, which I can say that was part of an initiation, because in shamanic practices, or in being a babaylan, there are two strands of becoming a healer. So it's either learned, or it's
Mhm.
passed on by lineage, or by by your father or your grandparents, or so on. So in my case, when I had that dream, I just met this old woman. The context was like I was walking in the street. It was dark. Then I met
Mhm.
this old woman. She doesn't look homeless, pero she was old and quite medyo freakish. And then she called
Yeah.
me, and then she said she's gonna give me something. Sabi ko, ano yun?
Mhm.
So, oh, what was that? She just told me, no, just come here. So I approached her, and then she told me to do this gesture. So I just did this, and then immediately she just,
Give
um,
it to you.
yeah, placed her hand on my palm, and then that I felt this kind of weird electrifying energy,
I'm
and I
actually having goosebumps right now.
electrifying energy that
Yeah.
kind of transferred, and then immediately I woke up. Yung parang, I felt it in my entire body. So I woke up and I said, "What was that? Ano yun?"
Yeah.
And I was
Wit
so
has an
confused.
interesting question about that.
Mhm.
Talking about being chosen. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
because she's saying that I've always had this thinking that you have to be chosen by the elders to become babaylan. But your dream just shows that you
Mhm.
were chosen.
Right. So yeah.
Huh?
So when I just in this recent years, just looking at my journey, it went back to that dream. And
Yeah.
one of my friends who is highly intuitive, he affirmed it to me that your ancestor gave you something. So ganyan. So I said, okay, so siya pa yung ancestor ko. So so that's another affirmation. There's certain doubts, but there are people who I come across and who will affirm it to me.
Yeah.
So I
And
was
so
kind
many
of looking back at
affirmations.
it.
You're the
So many
ritual
affirmings.
from
Right.
different your dream and then the dream weaver. Ang
The
galing,
dream
dream and
weaver.
dream weaver.
And what is very funny is that the Dream Weaver, the Manunuyam, si Ate
Yeah.
Robbie, knows also my mentor, si Manong Mamerto,
Mm.
who's the
Oh,
Ifugao. So from the south and then from the north.
great, great. But what I see from your story is you're integrating so many things. Like you said, you're integrating Christianity and traditional healing. You're integrating traditional hilot and Reiki. So,
Right, yes.
do you think that's part of your calling or
Mhm.
mission? You've been doing a lot of integration work.
Yeah, a lot of yes, a lot of integration work. I guess on my end, on my healing, personal healing, it's building up my own rootedness, discovering my identity and how I can even be firm on my character at the same time when there's certain readiness I can really share and be open to others who also want to learn, just to have this enough wisdom. And that's so much truth in it, because to look into it, even me studying theology, latest teachings will talk so much about interreligious dialogue, integration, and respect. You cannot say outside Catholicism there's no salvation. So it's not that case anymore. It's more of outside the divine, outside humanity, there's no salvation. And now with me, with Reiki and Hilot, and I just discovered or read a book on Hilot. It was written by, I think, if I can show it with me right now. Yeah,
Yes, yes,
there
that
you
would be
go.
great.
It's
Oh,
Hilot.
there.
Yeah, it's written by Bibiano Fajardo, who
Mhm.
and he scientifically made this, and even mentioned Reiki in it. What's the role of Reiki in Hilot? And when I read it, I said, oh, okay, again another pattern, another dot that's being
Yeah.
connected. And basically, the role of Reiki in Hilot is the scanning. When you're trying to diagnose where's the init, where's the lamig, or the cold, and the heat in the body, so you can
Mm.
focus on that. So
Oh, interesting. And
yeah.
regarding what you say about the Catholic Church,
Hmm.
Ali said from the Vatican II, she also loved how Pope Francis in his 2015 encyclical emphasizes taking care of Mother Earth as our common home, just as just as our ancestors and the indigenous brothers and sisters practice, as well as apologize for the atrocities done in the past by the church representatives in the name of colonialism.
That's true. Um,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's so much apologies that you know our tradition, particularly Catholicism, has to do a lot of apologizing that needs to be done, and it's a good thing that along the documents, or even uh, the teachings right now, I think Pope John Paul II, or Saint Pope John Paul II, started apologizing to the indigenous group in Australia.
Oh,
And what is interesting along my research and my thesis is this book that I came across. It's written by a father, an SVD father named
mhm.
Leonardo Mercado, and the title is From Pagans to Christians. partners, this gave a little bit of crisis in their own faith, in Christian faith, and it really shows how the early missionaries, how they treated, the indigenous, and dismiss all local traditions as demonic for no basis. And it's understand well, we can't blame them because that was the context before. So that's how I
Right.
reconcile things. We can't blame the case because that's how it was done. That their mentality was that outside Europe, so take note, outside Europe, everything is um, barbaric, everything is
Mhm.
demonic or monstrous. So they should be
Right.
converted. If they're not converted, kill them. Their soul will go to heaven anyway if you kill them. So it's like that. So that's why um, we have racism, discrimination against the black because you're not
Right.
white, you're not from Europe,
Right.
you're colored, so you're not clean. Therefore, you're not clean. So
Mm-mm.
technically, yeah, it's this kind of case. But of course, I guess we've learned from our mistakes, and going
Right.
back to the real teachings of Christ, of Jesus, that
Yeah.
Jesus Himself, and that's again how I reconcile it, the indigenous and Christianity, because going to the life of Christ, He did not even discriminate or held prejudice of other faiths. He did not even force the other to
True.
become Christian or to become a Jew. Like He
Right.
healed the Samaritan, He healed the Roman person. He did not say, "Oh, you know what? Be a Christian or come be a Jew and follow me."
That's true. He's very inclusive, and he even 'di ba, sat down with prostitutes and tax collectors.
Right,
So
right.
yeah,
So
yeah, very
it's
inclusive.
very inclusive. So why not? I mean, what will be the lesson if we're so into very what you call it black and white, so to
Right.
speak?
Mm.
It's gonna just cause barriers, borders, and harm.
Yeah. But
So
what do you think is the trajectory of the healing arts now, especially the
I
traditional healing arts?
I can say that it's expanding, okay, in different traditions. In the West, well, they're promoting a lot of the concept of shamanism. I mean, there's even an institution or school in the States, and it's more of adopting various cultures and making it into a curriculum. And here in Asia, we've been doing it since time immemorial. But what is being more emphasized is the Chinese medicine,
Mm-mm.
Indian yoga, and then meditation, Buddhism. Um, well, here in the Philippines, it's I can say there's a need. Sorry, there's a need to be pushed. Yeah,
Yeah.
in matters of the local traditions because not much of them are being supported, um,
Mm.
especially by the government, like hilot. Yeah,
Mm. Do you
and
think it will spread like Reiki? Because every now and then I would hear Reiki classes, Reiki workshops. There's even a Reiki conference, right? Do you
right,
think there will ever be a traditional hilot explosion in a way?
traditional heal explosion. Well, I can say it's I can't really comment on that at the moment
Yeah.
because plus of what's happening
Yes.
in Hilot there should be a very much personal encounter with a person, no? Because of the
Right.
acupressure uh, part of the ritual itself.
Right.
Um, well, for this year there was supposed to be actually a conference of local healers or babaylan, but because of pandemic it was canceled. So from all
Mm.
these are like we've invited local healers from the north down to the south, and I
Oh,
think
that's interesting. And you're invited.
yeah,
You're
so
part of that
I was
group.
surprised.
Oh
Oh, that's so
wow.
so I think it's yeah, you in when you're in this path you will really meet uh you know mentors who are really meant for you, with a good
Mm.
heart and good intention, the right people, as what my mentors from Reiki will even tell me when I had my Reiki level 1 finished, or even my apprenticeship, they will even say, "Oh, the right people will come to you." Then,
Right, right.
yeah,
That's
yeah. Of course,
yeah,
with
that's
effort, but
true. But
you will get.
are there a lot of babaylans in the Philippines?
Um, well, there are a number. I will not say that there are many of them, but there is a number. Yeah, a number of them. But many of them are are now at coming of age, elderly, and just this morning, Manong Mamerto messaged me that his mentor, Mumbaki mentor,
Right.
just died, and I told him, oh, so is there anyone going to be replaced or any
Mhm.
new member or something like that? Then he
Yeah.
said, oh, none, there is none yet because there's lack of interest, among the young generation. So he was, I guess he was very well at home, or even very welcoming on my end, because why a person from the city, grew up in the city, will be much interested of getting in touch with the indigenous.
What's your hope for the traditional arts, our traditional arts here in the Philippines?
Well, I'm very much positive that it will grow. There's just a lot of work to be done, amongst
Mm,
all of us, including this organization. Um, and I think that this is just, my opinion. I know that many of us will, go to other practices, our neighboring, countries for traditional healing. But if you discovered even our own practice here in the Philippines, you know, there's so much need to be discovered. Yeah, and it's beautiful as much as other tradition is, and you will see that there's a pattern as well.
yeah.
That's having the same energy. Yeah.
Okay. For people who are interested in your well-being programs and also probably for healing, can you please invite them to your healing sessions and other upcoming events, Genre?
Right. Yes. So I welcome everyone. Currently, I haven't posted yet my upcoming session, but there will be this August. But I haven't updated yet or scheduled yet. But for sure, there's one coming. A free online ritual again. Okay, for this month. So just stay tuned. I'll keep you
Mhm.
guys posted. And perhaps because there are times that I tend to be busy, but hopefully for the next month, I might be teaching Reiki. Yes, teaching Reiki, and again, I'll inform you, or I'll post some schedules regarding that. And you can find me anyway on Facebook. I'm very much accessible in social media.
Yeah, I will. Is
Just
it
find my
okay
name on
we
Facebook.
post your Facebook page so they can go there?
Sure. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Okay. We're
Yeah.
just waiting
And
for our technical person to come, our
yeah.
technical head
And
to pull it off. Yeah.
sure. And I'm open as well to one-on-one session. You just personal message me, and from there, you know, you can see or what are the things that I can help you or assist you with. Um, yeah.
Actually, Wait is saying that it's needed now. Um, Let me just pull it off. She's
Right.
saying that learning traditional medicine and healing modalities is needed now more than ever.
Yes, that's true, especially now that there are, findings of course, I will not, don't get me wrong, but there's a need of a balance of uh, taking your medication and whatnot, but being so drug dependent also will cause an abuse to our natural process of the body. So uh, going into traditional healing or balancing them is a way of making yourself heal, because in the beginning, why do you have let's say obesity, or why you're experiencing certain illness? So traditional healing will help you deal deal the depths of your being, why these thing triggers, or why these certain illnesses occur.
Mhm.
So it's a mixture of, yeah.
Yeah.
The
I has another question regarding same pattern. Example, the ba symbol
well,
in
mm-hmm.
Baybayin has the same shape in the movement healing modality called eurythmy from the West.
Sure.
Mhm.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm not sorry. I'm not familiar with the eurythmy of the West. Yeah, but
Yeah,
if you're going to look at symbols, even the Aztecs, there's so much similarities. Even the strokes, technically.
right.
Oh, and the ba symbol is also
Mhm.
similar with the the linglingo or the emblem of the Ifugao. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. We just have difficulty um pulling up the Facebook page. Let me just give me more time. Being movement. Okay. So I saying B movement in Eurasian West is the same with the Ba of Baybayin East.
Ah, all right.
Okay, interesting. That's very interesting.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Ai.
Yeah, for that. And then also what I learned from you is like even when I was looking through your posts, what I learned from you is you honor the nature, you honor environment.
Mm-hmm.
There's such like you said, every gesture is sacred and everything
Yeah.
around you is actually sacred. And Wheat agrees with that. She's saying, I put trust in nature, spirits seen and unseen, trees, wildlife, wind, and water around the farm. I sleep
Mm-hmm.
alone and safe in the thought that they keep me company every time in my hilltop kubo. And sa'yo naman, Wit, my space is clean, calm, and serene because of their presence.
That's
It's
true. It's
nice.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just being around nature, you can't really um, put so much words because you're so in awe, and at the same time, there's something going on with you therapeutically. Yeah.
That's true. Actually, just being out in nature is very
Ah,
therapeutic. So this is John Ray's page, Facebook page. Thank
yes.
you,
There you
Tims,
go.
for pulling this up. So a lot of people are helping us today. Tims is our head in the technical department. That's why you see a nice broadcast today. So that's John
Thank
Ray's page.
you.
Please message him
Right.
in case you want to connect with him because you do traditional hilot and Reiki and hypnotherapy, right?
Right. Yes.
And then
Hypnotherapy.
also, he teaches Reiki and he conducts a lot of well-being classes. And here
Yes.
also at Online Healing Community, we have webinars for you. For this Thursday, we have a free webinar. It's called
Yay.
Building Emotional Resilience. So this
Mhm.
will be facilitated by Tim Vargas of Lifted Heart. So go to our event page and just sign up for that. That's free. But we also have paid classes because we want to support everybody else and we want to give in-depth classes and in-depth lesson. So for this Saturday, we have a class by Rina Corpus. She's a movement artist and a meditator. It's called Mindful Flow. So I
Beautiful.
hope you can join that. And then just so you can get updates for our events and other offerings, please join our Facebook page, Online Healing Community Group. Okay, so that's it. Thank you
Nice.
so much, Tims. And our moderator in our Facebook group and social media is I Guardiola. And then here in the studio we have Sister Nori with the lighting. So you have a just because of you, this is the first time we're doing this. We have a whole team for you, Johnny. So
Oh, well,
alright.
thank you so much.
Thank
I'm the
you.
first person to be to be interviewed here.
Yeah, yeah.
The
So
stream
thank
yard.
you so much. It's so nice
You're
talking.
welcome. It's
Actually,
also an
yeah,
honor
I
to be
felt
invited.
yeah, ang galing nung I just felt the sacredness and your reverence for everybody. Like you always talk about pakikipagkapwa, you always talk about
Mhm.
nature, always talk about the community. He says, thank you so much for sharing your sacred journey and insights
Uh,
with us, John Ray
you're
Nagas.
welcome, Ai. You're
Very
so much welcome.
enriching. Yeah, it is. And thank you for promoting traditional hilot and the traditional healing arts.
Yes, thank you as well, and you're welcome. Right, and we
Yeah,
hope
very,
to to really get in touch to our own healing modality. Yeah, because there's just so much beauty in it, and who knows, there might be also some messages healing messages for yourself on how to be centered and grounded
Right.
as a
Will you be teaching eventually traditional hilot? Because I know you're teaching Reiki.
Right. Yes. Actually, I'm conceptualizing it. Hopefully make into like a module, and even actually, although there's already a permission with Manong Mamerto in terms of the Tinungol ritual, right? So there could be an
Yeah.
element of that when I'm going to teach mindfulness or even hilot or meditation.
Yeah, it would be nice, especially for us Filipinos, to get acquainted again, like you said, with our roots.
That's true.
Diba?
That's true. Opo.
Okay. With us into a short 3 to 5 minute closing ritual or closing
Yeah.
meditation.
Sure. Sige po. It's an honor once again. Okay. So, so just be in your most comfortable position, being sitting on the floor or you're seated on a seat, and get in touch with your breath. Maybe put your hands on your knees, palms up or palms down, whichever you feel comfortable. And draw your awareness to your breathing. We'll pause here for a moment of silence. We try to appreciate silence. And as we intake every breath, we recognize the spirit coming from the divine, coming from God. Breathing in and breathing out. You may now gently close your eyes just to focus more on the intakes and outtakes of your breath. Being thankful for this space, for this time to share with one another. In this moment of silence, as you get in touch with your breath, you're also getting in touch with the divine. We notice the importance of breathing, for without the breath, there is no life. It's very basic and essential for us to live. We will do 3 deep cleansing breaths as we will inhale four in 4 counts, and we will exhale also in 4 counts. Ready? We inhale 2, 3, 4, and exhale 2, 3, 4. We inhale 2, 3, 4, and exhale 2, 3, 4. One last 2, 3, 4, and exhale 2, 3, 4. And just go now in your normal pace of breathing, feeling your body seated on a chair, your feet flat on the ground, feeling your presence in the room where you are. And take this moment, just yourself, be in the movement of your breath or the spirit. Allow yourself to relax or chill as you inhale and exhale. We allow the Spirit of God to dwell within us. As you inhale, I want you to visualize the Spirit an image of a white mist circulating around your mind, your head, or your brain. Feel it now streaming down your face, relaxing every tension or muscle in your forehead. Just let go any tension in that area. Feel your tongue dropped down towards your throat. Allow your ears to just, let it fall down your shoulders. And your next inhale, visualize the spirit cleansing, healing every bit of your bloodstream, your neck, your chest, your back, cleansing your heart and your lungs. If there are any distraction, that's fine. Just bring your attention once again to your breathing, allowing yourself to be centered. And your next inhale, visualize now the spirit cleansing your stomach down to your waist, your thighs. Your next inhale, feel it streaming down towards your knees, your shins, and to your feet. Breathing in and breathing out. You see yourself and you feel more grounded and relaxed. Thank this opportunity for being alive, being in this space of togetherness, sharing wisdom, light, and love. Breathing in and breathing out. Now gradually shift your attention to where you are at the moment, in the room, in the space where you are seated in the chair. And whenever you are ready, you may gently open your eyes.
Thank you so much, Zanre. I love that, the
You're
space of
welcome.
togetherness. And yeah,
Yeah,
thank you for sharing the space of love, light, and wisdom with us. So, you
thank
have final
you.
words for everyone watching and listening?
Yes, so for everyone, for the audience, if you are in this path like I am, just get in touch with yourself, be very authentic, and see that every mistake or every experience that you have in life is is a wisdom that will grow later, and with that it will bring in so much bliss
Yeah, I
on your
love that. Get in touch with yourself and be very authentic. So I guess
life.
we'll end with that. Everybody keep that in mind. Thank you so much, John Ray. People are going to keep tabs of your
Yeah,
next virtual sesh daw. Sabi ni Vip. So there.
great.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much. Thank you,
Thank you
and
so much.
welcome as well.
All right. Thank you everyone for watching and listening. We'll see you soon. Bye for
See
now.
you. All right,
Thank
bye.
you. Bye.